Hello and welcome to Rathod's IAS. Today in this lecture, we are going to see some important topics which you are covering from our today The Hindu newspaper. So let's get started with our discussion and let us try to see brief introduction of the topics. And one more thing I want to say is I got pretty good answers from 3 students. First one is Lakshman, second one is Nawaz and third person is Srinivasan. So whatever the questions I asked in yesterday's lecture, I got pretty good answers. So keep rocking, students. So the first topic it is about ASEAN. And one more thing is, please pick out pen and also a book so that whenever you found any point which is important and which is unique, try to make a note that. And I will be also telling you which are the topics that you have to refer from mains and prelims point of view. So please make a list, and after once class is done, so please try to refer that topic, so that will be helpful for you to get the great knowledge. Okay, so that knowledge is helpful in your future. So first topic it is about ASEAN, a persistence with dialogue or a trodden path. So this article which is talking about ASEAN and how this ASEAN is relevant from our Indian point of view. So here what you have to focus. So especially in this ASEAN, you have to focus on which are the members. Why? Why you have to remember the members? In regional organizations, in international relations, there is a high chance of getting question from members of that so-and-so organization. So this is the first point. And apart from that, especially you have to know why this article is in news now. That means you have to see the context. And this context you can use whenever you are writing introduction of your mains answer. And next you have to see why this ASEAN is important from our Indian point of view. So you have to see exact location of ASEAN, and we can compare the location of ASEAN with India and how it is relevant. If you see the world map, so how this ASEAN is useful for India. So one tip I want to give you here is, if one country which is making relations with the other country, means it will be based on the geography, right? So if you see the geography, you can understand at least 2 or 3 points, like why this country is important, why Indian Prime Minister who is visiting that country. So what is the reason? So what is the reason behind the tours of Prime Minister, President, Foreign Minister, External Affairs Minister? So you can understand that when you see the map, that is from the geography point of view. Like if they are having any resource or not. So that resources which we are not having or not. So what technology they have from science and technology. And what is the economical status of that country, so that we can get some funds from that country or not. Or if you want to borrow money, we can go for that country or not. So based on all these things, so we will come up with our own foreign policy. So this is the idea that you have to keep in your back of your mind while reading international relations. So map, linking with the map is very important. Okay, because even though if you're not getting the present happenings with that country, even if you know the geography, if you understand the geography exactly where that country is located, so which resources are there and which type of government is there. For example, it is having monarchy or republic monarchy or absolute monarchy, or it is a democratic country or it is a republic. So based on that political situation of that country also, we can identify which type of relations that we have between that country. So whenever the changing of government is happening in that country, so how it is going to impact on India, right? So in this way you have to think. So this is the tip from my side, and please make a note of that. Okay, and this topic is important from your international relations, which comes in the GS paper 2. And next topic is still incomplete. So this article is talking about India-Sri Lanka relations. So recently meet between President of Sri Lanka and our Prime Minister held, and they came up with number of agreements. They are nothing but memorandum of understandings, and they came up in 5 important areas. For example, in trade, for example in security, that is maritime security, and in case of, for example, in the air and as well as defense, etc. So there are 5 priority areas in which memorandum of understanding which made between Indian Prime Minister and Sri Lankan President. And one important issue which has not yet been resolved, that is implementation of 13th Amendment. So here, as an UPSC aspirant, you have to know what is 13th Amendment. Okay. So what exactly here? So if you take any country, so we will be having lot of population. That is the people who are living in that country. So whether these people will belong to the same community? Not exactly. So even if you are taking Arab country, so even though this country is having whole Muslim community, for example, in that Muslim also we will be having different sects like Shia is there and Sunnis are there. So here if you take, this is Sri Lanka, in the Sri Lankan population also we are having majority population, that is lot of population, and we are having minority population, that is less population. So minority populations are Tamilians. So these Tamilians, they belongs to Sri Lanka. And we have majority population called as Sinhalese population. They are indigenous Sri Lankan population. Sinhalese are majorities and Tamilians are minorities. So these Tamilians, they are from normally from Tamil Nadu. So these Sri Lankan Tamilians, they are from Tamil Nadu. So the issue here is we have to protect the rights of these Tamils. So if you see the location, okay, so here we have India and here we have Sri Lanka, right? So here we have Tamil Nadu. So most of the Tamilians, they shifted to Sri Lankan as indentured laborers in Sri Lanka during the Britishers' time itself. And because of this Tamilians, they are the representatives from India, right? So they are the people from India. So here our government of India have responsibility to protect the rights of these Tamilians who are present in Sri Lanka. Okay. So for that, actually civil war happened in Sri Lanka, and this Tamil issue also led to the assassination of this Rajiv Gandhi by LTTE. And if you see now we want to implement this 13th Amendment in Sri Lanka, but it is an incomplete task. So this is the overall idea. So I will try to make a story regarding each and every current affairs so that you can remember that. Okay. So this topic is important from your international relations, which comes in the GS paper 2. So just marking of facts is not much relevant. So because you have to remember this concepts for the long period, because this UPSC journey is a very long journey. Okay. So try to understand the topics in the form of a story so that you can remain or you can retain in that topic in your mind for a long time. And next one is a big step in reducing a risk of disaster. So here you have to understand the examples of disaster. So what are the examples? Okay, you might be knowing about this. Like we have floods, we have earthquakes, we have volcanoes, right? So these are some kinds of natural disasters, tsunami, etc. So for example, if there is a flood which is happening in uninhabited area, whether it is a disaster. If earthquake is happening in a farmost some island where there is no people or no animal, everything, then whether it is a disaster, yes or no? No. So if any event which is causing loss to the life, loss to the property, then that is called as a disaster here, right? So here what happened? Because of climate change, there is increased risk of disaster. Can you tell me some recent examples of disaster? For example, in the recent days, we have seen heat wave like conditions in 3 continents. And what happened recently? There is increased flood or increased flow in river Yamuna. So we saw a number of headlines regarding that. And there is untimely and unexpected heavy rainfalls in northern part of our country. And there is increased rate of melting of glaciers, increased sea level, right? And even recently we got cyclone Biparjoy, right? So these are the some disasters that happened in the recent past. So what are the reasons? The reason is nothing but climate change. So the sole reason for this disasters that are going on now, it is because of climate change. So here, why this article is in news? Because India is enjoying the presidencyship of G20 organization. So in this G20, they are focusing on how to reduce this risk of disaster, that is disaster risk reduction. And India is playing an important role in this disaster risk reduction. So here you have to know what is this recent meet regarding this reducing the risk of disaster in this G20. And here you have to see what are the initiatives which already came up by India. So that point is very much relevant from your mains. So many students, they will be reading newspaper blindly. Yeah, blindly. I saw number of students who are reading just what is present in the newspaper. But each and every line which is present in the newspaper is not at all important. Just understand the crisp of that article and try to do some research. So research plays an important role, and that task I am doing here, right? So here in the newspaper you saw that what are the important points of that meet, that's it. So analysis means you have to see so why it is important, how G20 is vulnerable to the disasters, and there you can find some data. So data is also important. And you have to think about what are the initiatives came up by India. So how India is trying to reduce the disaster risk. And after that you can also frame a question on that topic and try to write answer for that. And you have to think from this topic how the question can be asked by UPSC. Okay, so I will be giving you that idea as well. Okay, so for that, try to follow this Rathod Science Academy channel daily. We are posting this Hindu analysis along with the getting some ideas regarding how can we connect the static syllabus with the current affairs, and even how to think about an article and how to do research regarding that article, so that you can get success in a very less time, rather than wasting 2 years, 3 years, 4 years or 5 years on your preparation. So don't skip the video and try to watch the till the end, okay, so that you can get lot of ideas. And in between I will be also asking the questions, so try to answer those questions also. And not only these current affairs videos, we are going to come up with the shorts, and we are going to come up with the informational videos for your UPSC preparation in the future. So for that, hit the bell icon so that you can get the notification whenever we are posting the video. Don't forget about this. And the next article, it is about there is a rural bias in national surveys. So recently there was a committee which appointed to see the data which is published by National Statistical Office. So why this data is important? So you have to think that why there is a need of committee to revise the data. Because there are some loopholes. So you have to know what are those loopholes. You have to understand what is that committee. So what is the work which is done by that committee, and this topic is important from your economy, which comes in the GS paper 3. And next topic is, what does India's first ZIG workers' rights bill stipulate? So if we're talking about ZIG workers or platform workers, who are they? So they're working on some online platforms. I think you might be using this Zomato or Swiggy, Ola Cabs, Ola Autos, Rapido, etc. Right? So these are the online platforms. So the people who are working in these online platforms, they comes in as gig workers or platform workers. And these people, they mostly comes under unorganized sector. So we're talking about our economy, especially in employment, we will be having organized sector and unorganized sector. So if the people who are working in the organized sector, like government jobs, or if they are working in any reputed companies, so they will be having social security benefits. But the sole difference between these organized workers and unorganized workers is, unorganized workers, they will be not getting any social security benefits. So what are they? For example, paid maternity leave, paid paternity leave, right? But these are not available for these unorganized workers. And because of this, even in labor codes, so what are the labor laws which are present in India? So in 2019-20, we came up with the codifying of this labor laws into 4 major codes. So one of that code is Social Security Code. So this, which already included this social security benefits for the gig and platform workers, but it has not been implemented. For the first time in India, Rajasthan came up with this providing of social security benefits for the gig or platform workers. So this topic is very important and it is a milestone that I can say. So this topic is important from your economy, which comes in the GS paper 3, and even you can link this topic under governance, which comes in the GS paper 2. And next topic is ICMR, Indian Council for Medical Research, are used for controlled human infection studies. So if you're talking about health, it is one of the important, and even achieving of health, which is also our one of the sustainable development goals. So in sustainable development goals, we have to achieve 17. So out of that 17th, health is also one of the SDG. So let me know which SDG talks about this health. So please let me know in the comment box. And I will be announcing the names of the students who gave the good answers in the next day class. Okay. So here, diseases are mainly caused by two important things. So first one is whenever there is impaired body function. So in our body, if there is any abnormality, that will lead to the disease, right? So this is the first thing. And second one is because of infectious agents. For example, microorganisms. So which are those microorganisms? Can you say? Yes, we have bacteria, we have virus, we have parasites, right? So these will be causing diseases. So infectious diseases are the most common diseases, and this is leading to the increasing of health burden on the families. For example, we have cholera, we have tuberculosis, we have malaria, right? We have even coronavirus, Ebola virus. So these are the some Nipah virus. These are the infections which are caused by microorganisms. So this article says that we need to have this controlled human infection studies. So if you are having this type of studies, if we are having the data, we can go for development of vaccines and as well as new treatment plans. So why vaccine is important? So if we have a data like whether we can go for development of vaccine for this infection or not, means if we know that if this pharmaceutical companies, they will be preparing these vaccines and that vaccines can be given to the people, so that what happened, we can prevent the occurrence of that disease, such that that will lead to economic development, that will help for the well-being of the people, right? So because of this, ICMR came up with this. So one question is whether this human controlled infection studies are present in India or not. No, till now we do not have this controlled human infection studies. Even though we know the advantages of these studies, but till now we do not have these studies. So you can understand what this Union Health Ministry and what is the state health ministry is doing. I don't know. So let me know your opinion in the comment box. So what these ministries are doing. Okay. So this is some idea regarding the topics that we are going to discuss. So let us see the analysis point of view. So first one is ASEAN, a persistence with dialogue on a trodden path. So here we have to focus on what is this ASEAN first. So ASEAN stands for Association of Southeast Nations. So it is talking about Southeast Nations. So it is a group of Southeast nations. So here I want to give you one homework, students. You have to see the Asia continent and you have to see which are the countries which comes under part of West Asia, Middle Asia and South Asia and Southeast Asia. So here I will be showing you the map of Southeast Asia first. So this is the map of the Southeast Asia that you are seeing on the screen. So here we have Burma. Burma is nothing but Myanmar. Here we have Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Brunei, Philippines. So these are the countries which comes under the part of Southeast Asia. So how many total? Here we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 are the Southeast Asian nations. So that you can understand this ASEAN, it is a grouping of the Southeast nation. So how many members are there? So we have 10 members in this ASEAN. So in this way you can understand, okay. So why it is in news now? So this Southeast Asia is very important for India. So what is the relevance? So if you see the location of this Southeast Asia, here we have somewhere India, right? So this Southeast Asia is very important because it lies in Indo-Pacific region. And even this Southeast Asia is important for this look east policy. Look east policy and act east policy of our country. So it is a foreign policy of country with Southeast Asia. And if you're talking about some facts regarding this ASEAN, so this will be important from your prelims. Students who are beginners, you have to know what this organization is. So this ASEAN's Association of Southeast Asian Nations, it was founded in year 1967 by 5 Southeast nations, that is Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand. That means these 5 nations are founding members. So don't confuse with these founding members and members. So members means the present members, but founding members means so which countries they came together to form this organization. And actually it is a regional grouping. It want to promote economic and as well as security cooperation. So on which areas it is focusing? It is focusing on economic and as well as security cooperation between these 10 ASEAN members. So as of now, how many countries are the part? 10 countries. That is Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand and Vietnam. Okay, so these are some key facts. So what is significance of this ASEAN for India? So here ASEAN is very important for India's foreign policy. So which is that foreign policy? That is India's Act East policy and India's vision in this Indo-Pacific region. So this ASEAN which plays a very crucial role. And next one is, if we want to connect northeast, okay, so this is the mainland, right? So here we have this chicken neck, or we can see this is the northeast. Here we have Bangladesh. So this is just a map. So I'm drawing a very worst map. I know that. So don't comment me on this map. Yes, this is the mainland India and here we have northeastern part. So to connect this northeastern part, we will be having a very narrow corridor. So this is called as Siliguri corridor. Siliguri corridor, or it is also called as chicken neck. So it is like neck of a chicken. Okay, it is called as chicken neck or Siliguri corridor. So if here, what is the threat here is, here we have big brother, that is China. So here we have China, and here in 2017 there was a standoff, military standoff in this Doklam region. So this Doklam, it is very near to this chicken corridor. So if this area which is occupied by China means what happened? So here India, mainland India will be not having the connection with this northeastern part. Okay, then what happens? So it will be very easy for the China to occupy this Arunachal Pradesh. So this is the claim that is made by this China, right? So here what happened? It will be very easy for the China to occupy this Arunachal Pradesh. So if you want to maintain the connectivity with this northeast, even though if this area which is under threat means, so if we are having the good relations with this southeast nations, we can reach the southeast nations so that we will be having the contact with this northeast. So which is a project that we are coming up in this southeast nations to connect this northeastern part of our country. So please let me know in the comment box. Okay. And next important thing here is, it is also important for maritime engagement. So India and ASEAN, they have an aim to tackle traditional and non-traditional security threats. For example, we have the threats like drug trafficking. That means here we have golden triangle and golden crescent. Okay, golden crescent here and golden triangle here. So that what happened? India's location which is making India vulnerable to the drug trafficking. So if you are having a good relations with the Southeast nations, so we can control drug trafficking which is coming from this area, right? And next one here is, even piracy is also one important reason. And we can also bypass one important choke point, that is Malacca Strait, if you are having a good relations with this Southeast Asia. And next one is, from the security point of view also it is very important, right? We can go for countering of terrorism and violent extremism. Actually this extremism which is seen in the northeast region, and even tribes, okay, insurgency. So these are some important issues that we are facing in northeast, so that we can address those problems easily. And next one is from economic front. Here ASEAN stop trading and investing partners, because we are getting lot of investments. We are also going for the trade with this ASEAN countries. So in this context here, this is also very important for maintaining the economy. And even we are having the good cultural connections because of spread of Hinduism and as well as Buddhism in this Southeast Asian part. So these are the countries which are part of this ASEAN. Here you can see this is Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos and Vietnam. So from these 5 countries, so how can you expect a question? You can expect a question like UPSC may ask to arrange them in west to east or east to west. So from this area also you have to be prepared, right? And other countries we have like Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, Brunei and Philippines. So here we have to understand what are the weaknesses of this ASEAN. So there is lack of natural custodian. Here no country is having the responsibility or taking the responsibility of ownership. So this is also one cause of concern. And this one is Indonesia is capable of such responsibility, but still it is unable to perform that role because the headquarters is located in this Indonesia itself. And even in this areas there is a geopolitical conflicts are going on and weak leadership, and there is a failure that is seen in this area. And next one is intra-ASEAN security issues. So in ASEAN also we are facing issues like Rohingya crisis. So let me know, who are these Rohingyas? Who are these Rohingyas? From where they are, from which country they are, and from which state they are, and they belongs to which community? Okay, so please let me know. And next one is migration is also one important issue. So because of this we are coming up with NRC. And next one is human trafficking, pandemics, climate change, South China Sea and piracy. So these are some important security threats that we are facing from this ASEAN, and these threats that you have to know. And if you know at least some idea regarding this, so you can, if there is any question like, so what are the security challenges that we are facing in this ASEAN? So in that context, just write the side headings of Rohingya crisis, migration, human trafficking, pandemics, climate change, South China Sea policy and piracy. So you got 7 points. So these are enough points. Okay, just keep the side headings and at least write 2 or 3 lines regarding this. Expand this. Okay, so that you can write 10 to 15 marker answer here. So that's it. And next one is, what are the challenges or what are the concerns in this ASEAN? So here, especially in the South China Sea, there is increased territorial claims of China. For example, Spratly Islands, Parcel Islands, etc. And there is also South China Sea dispute, which resulted to many Asian nations the allying with China. And there is also growing threat of Islamic State in the Southeast Asia. And even some issues like Rohingya crisis, drug trafficking between Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, forming a golden triangle, right? So this is also one important issue. So these are the challenges. So in this way you have to read a topic in all dimensions. And now let us see the next topic. It is regarding India-Sri Lanka relations. Here we have to talk about 13th Amendment. So if you see the context, why it is in news? So recently India and Sri Lanka had a meet. So from Indian side, who participated? Prime Minister. From Sri Lankan side, President of Sri Lanka participated. And in this meet, they came up with a statement, and this title of the statement is Promoting Connectivity. So first one is Promoting Connectivity, Catalyzing Prosperity, India-Sri Lanka Economic Partnership Vision. So the title of this meet here or statement is Promoting Connectivity, Catalyzing Prosperity, India-Sri Lanka Economic Partnership Vision. So this is released after the talks between Prime Minister of India and as well as President of Sri Lanka. And they focused on 5 important areas. So which are those areas? So you can use this type of representation also. Okay. So first one is maritime, in maritime security. Second time is air. And third one is energy. Fourth one is trade. And fifth one is people to people ties. So in this people to people ties, there is 13th Amendment. So here we are going to have, in this maritime sector, we are going to have new investments. and we are going to have good air connectivity, right? And in energy, especially we are focusing on ports, we are focusing on development of airports, and we are going to connect Sri Lanka's northern and eastern provinces with Tamil Nadu. And next one is in energy, so we are going for development of renewable energy and solar plants in Sri Lanka. And next one is we are going to increase the trade. Trade means export and as well as imports, and we are going to help Sri Lanka in debt restructuring process also. So in this debt restructuring process, India helped Sri Lanka. Because of that, IMF accepted to give funds to this Sri Lanka. And if you're talking about the next one, so we are also focusing on UPI digital payments, such that here we are designating India's rupee as a currency for trade. So recently with Russia also we came up with that, and recently with the UAE, and recently now we came up with this Sri Lanka. That means we want to make Indian rupee internationalize. So this concept is called as internationalization of Indian rupee. And even in other areas, like we accepted or agreed to explore enhancing of tourism, cultural and religious travel and education collaboration with Sri Lanka. So these are the 5 important areas. And here if you see the map of Sri Lanka, here we have Sri Lanka, here we have Gulf of Mannar, here we have Park Strait. And here these are the islands, these are Kachativu Islands. These Kachativu Islands are the issue which is seen in news because of fishermen, right? So now let us try to see what is this 13th Amendment. So 13th Amendment enacted in year 1987. But from that time onwards, from 1987 onwards, it has not been implemented. So why? We have to see that. So this 13th Amendment signed by Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi of India and President of Sri Lanka, that is Jayawardene. And this agreement or this 13th Amendment, which is focusing on resolving of Sri Lankan ethnic conflict. But finally it led to full-fledged civil war between armed forces and LTTE. So even this LTTE is responsible for assassination of this Rajiv Gandhi. And actually this 13th Amendment which talks about creation of provincial councils, creation of provincial councils, and these councils, they have to be given the power sharing. And it also need to enable all 9 provinces in the country, including Sinhala majority, to self-govern. And also talks about the subjects like education, health, agriculture, housing, land, police. So these powers, they have to be devolved to the provincial administrations. But because of the restrictions of financial power and even because of overriding powers which is given to the President of Sri Lanka, so this provincial administration have not made much headway. And later on, changing of government which happened in Sri Lanka, and this change in government which refused to grant land and police power to the provinces. So these were the unresolved issues since 1987 onwards. Okay, so this is about this topic. And already UPSC asked a question from this topic, that is, evaluate economic and strategic dimensions of Look East policy in the context of post-Cold War international scenario. So actually this question which is asking about ASEAN, not Sri Lanka, okay. And next question, it is about the regional comprehensive economic partnership. Often appears in news. It is a context of affairs of group of countries that is known as ASEAN. Okay, so these are the questions which already asked. And now let's see next topic. It is about a big step in reducing the risk of disasters. So here you have to see what is the role of G20 in reducing the risk of disasters. So here you have to know some basic thing, that is what is exactly the disaster means. And you have to know some examples of disaster and recent happenings of disasters. So these are some things that you can use in your introduction. So if you are talking about G20 and disaster management, so here the disasters which are happening across the world, not only in India but across the world, we are seeing there is a disasters. So what is the sole reason? The sole reason here is nothing but climate change. So keep it in inverted commas. So because of this climate change, yes, there is a disasters which are happening. So if you see the recent happenings that you have seen in the newspaper, that is heat waves in the 3 continents. So which are those 3 continents? As Asia, Africa and in America we have this heat waves. And recently massive forest fires in Greece and Canada because of increasing of temperature, because of heat waves. And 2 weeks ago, recently, because of heavy rainfall in northern India. Yes, river Yamuna is overflowed. Even Supreme Court and as well as Taj Mahal near this areas also there is increased flooding. And many parts of Delhi also had been inundated under this flooded water. So what is the reason? The reason here is nothing but climate change. And what happens because of this disasters? That will lead to a lot of losses. For example, it is not only like heat waves or recent floods, but even weather related disasters or earthquakes or biological like COVID-19 pandemic. So in this disasters, whenever it is happening, the countries which are affected by these disasters, they have to spend billions of dollars or billions of money to respond to this disaster. But what is a mistake is doing by all the countries? So mistake is done by not only India but even other countries like, so for example, if this is the government of any country per se. So this government is waiting when the disaster happens. So they are sitting idle, like after disaster comes, we will go to the place and we will do that. Right? We will do some action or we will take some action after disaster comes. But here there is no government is interested like how to prevent the disasters. So this is the one key thing which highlighted by India in this G20. Okay. So if you are talking about how to prevent disasters, whether we have any framework? Yes, of course we have a framework, that is Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction 2015 to 30. So we have Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction 2015 to 2030. So it is a global roadmap for reducing the disaster risk and losses. So we're talking about how are these G20 nations which are vulnerable to disasters. So this part is very important because yes, we know that countries are facing a risk with these disasters. But why this G20 came up with this disaster risk reduction? So how these G20 countries are affected? So we need to have some data so that we can appreciate, yes, this is the good step taken by India. So this is the power of India, right? So here the G20 nations, they have large exposure and the risk from the asset concentration. And these are the countries which are more vulnerable to natural disasters. And recent index, that is World Risk Index, said that 4 out of top vulnerable countries, they are present in this G20 nations itself. And because of this disaster, if you see the loss, they are going to face the annual average loss in G20 countries, it is about $218 billion. And you see the number, it is a very, very large number. It is $218. So if these countries, they are not facing losses of this much amount of money, they can divert this money for the elimination of poverty, elimination of hunger, right? So with this huge amount of money every year, if they are spending for the developmental projects, then we can't see any poverty. So we can see there is achievement of education. So we can see there will be achievement of full health. So let me know how this money can be used if there is diversion, rather than using in the disaster, if they are focusing on the prevention of disaster, right? So it is equivalent to 9% of average annual investment in infrastructure which is made by them. So it is just 9% of investment. It is just 9%. That means, so if they are diverting this 9% for the development of infrastructure like roads, like railways, like investing in companies, schools, health, etc., then there will be the huge development that is seen. And countries, they will be having good rankings in the indices as well. So now let us try to see what is the role played by India. And we are Indians and we have to be proud. We have to feel proud for that because India is playing a very important role, right? So how India is contributing to disaster risk reduction. So what are the steps taken by our country? We are proud to know that, right? So here our Prime Minister, he came up with 10-point agenda outlined after adoption of Sendai framework. So we came with 10-point agenda. So this agenda will help the country for the implementation of the framework. And India also has transferred the way the government finances disaster risk reduction and made the targeted efforts to reduce the loss from the disasters. So actually, we came up with the 10-point agenda. So this 10-point agenda, which is based on Sendai framework. It is based on Sendai framework. And this Sendai framework will be focusing on reducing of risk. And India also came up with transformation in the government finances. So we are diverting the government finances for the disaster risk reduction, and we are coming up with some efforts to reduce the loss. And we also came with coalition for disaster resilient infrastructure, and this coalition for disaster resilient infrastructure, which is chaired by which countries? Which are those? That is India and US. India and US, they are the chairpersons for this coalition for disaster resilient infrastructure. And next one is India also came up with the creation of new work stream under G20, and they are having a sole commitment towards disaster preparedness. So before disaster happen, so we need to go for how to reduce the risk. That means we need to focus on the preparedness before the disaster happens, right? And now let us try to see what is the importance of G20 for disaster risk reduction. So what is the role that played by G20 in the reducing the risk? So recently we have high level meeting on this disaster risk reduction, this G20, and we came up with implementation of Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction 2015-2030, and it also mentions about the importance of this G20 efforts for the implementation of this Sendai framework. And even if you see G20 as an organization, so which provides a broader platform, and in this platform we are having a goals regarding disaster risk reduction, and we can see whether that goals have been achieved or not based on the performance. And we are also focusing on risk financing, and we need some additional financial resources, because what are the resources which are given or which are kept by the countries for this disaster, which is not enough. So we need some additional financial resources. So we have to think that how that enough resources are there. So we can go for efficient, effective and predictable financing mechanisms. And even India came up with working group on disaster risk reduction. So this working group, which provides a unique opportunity for this G20 to lead the implementation of Sendai framework in the next 7 years. So this is about the role of G20. And what is the need now? So what can we do now? So we have to focus on early disaster warning systems. That is early warning systems. So early warning system means, so before disaster happens, at least before 2 hours or 3 hours, we need to get the information that we are going to have this so and so situation. For example, at present monsoon season is going on, and especially in Hyderabad there are heavy rainfall, and because of heavy rainfall the most of the roads had been blocked, and it is very difficult for me to reach the office to record the video also. So despite of this, I came to the office and I am recording the video, right? So here the roads are in a very bad condition. So if we know the warnings, like, so we are going to have the heavy rainfall in this time, and within 1 hour we are going to have heavy rainfall. So if this information is getting for me, then I will be completing my recording as soon as possible, and I will reach my house as soon as possible, so that my twins are waiting for me, right? So here early warning system is very important. Okay, so expanding disaster early warning system is the one important need of hour now, so that we can reduce the disaster death, we can reduce the economic loss, or we can reduce the property loss. And especially during this cyclone Biparjoy, because of this effective early warning systems, so there were 0 death recorded. So this is the importance of this early warning systems. And we can also go for preparedness in the power sector also, because whenever disaster is happening, there will be no power supply. So if there is no supply, means what happened? There will be no working of Wi-Fi's first, okay? Because nowadays Wi-Fi's are very important, even rather than the food. Wi-Fi, internet is very important and it is essential need of life now. So if there is no internet, then we can't do anything, right? So here we have to enhance the preparedness of power sector, and we have to enhance the resilience of infrastructure to withstand climate and disaster risk. It is one of the global priority now. So even from New Zealand, which saw the flooding of Auckland airport, and even in US, pharmaceutical plant was destroyed by a tornado. So every country can be benefited if they are having the critical disaster resilient infrastructure. So we can focus on that. So on which areas we can focus? The first one is we need to focus on early warning systems. We need to have hazard early warning systems. That to be most productive thing and most accurate thing we need. And even we have to focus on preparedness of power, and we have to focus on disaster resilient infrastructure. That infrastructure that need to be withstand even in a disaster. Okay, so this is about this topic. And next topic is there a rural bias in national survey? So this article already we discussed in earlier lectures. So even though we are going to see the details of this article. Okay. So here the government of India recently appointed a panel under chairmanship of former chief statistician of India, and this committee which is going to review the data of National Statistical Organization. So actually here why it is in news, because whatever the methodology that we used, that is by this National Statistical Organization, so this article says that data is not appropriate, because that data which is collected by this National Family Health Survey, Periodic Labor Force Survey, etc. So why it is important? So whenever we are talking about data, so the data is very important such that we can understand what is going on. So how the implementation of the schemes having the impact. So what are the loopholes? So what the people want, okay, from the government, and this will be acting as a key resource for the research and for the policy making purpose and for the development purpose and for the planning of new schemes or new policies. Data is very, very important. So if you are having inaccurate data, means so what are the developmental plans we are getting, so they will be not achieving the objectives of that scheme. Okay, so for the better implementations and better achievement of objectives, so we need to focus on the data. Data is a very key. And next topic, it is about Gig Workers' Rights Bill of Rajasthan. And this topic is important from polity and governance point of view, and even we can connect this topic with economy. So now let us try to see this topic in detail. So recently on July 24th, that is yesterday, Rajasthan government passed this Rajasthan per platform based Gig workers registration and welfare. So it is talking about registration of this Gig workers and welfare of this platform based Gig workers. And actually it is the first legislation in our country which is outlining about the welfare schemes for this Gig workers. So in the state there are around 3 lakh Gig workers are there. So this bill will be helpful for these people who are working in these platforms. And if you're talking about the Gig economy potential in our India as a whole, so according to data here in Gig economy in India is witnessing a substantial growth because they are also offering part-time jobs. Especially in India, we are facing a problem called as unemployment. So if any person, either girl or a boy who completed graduate, if they are not getting the job, means you can understand how the situation in the house. So there will be no respect. Even the children, they will be not listening to the words of that unemployed man who is present in that house. And you can see a very tragic situation. I think many of you might be also faced that situation, right? So at that time, yes, because of frustration, because of anxiety, because of depression, everything that will comes in your mind, and that will be disturbing your status physically and mentally. And then at that time, many people, they will be thinking that I have to do at least a part-time job. So at that time, so the option here is Gig workers or Gig economy. Okay. So in India, because of unemployment, there is a raised Gig economy and there is an increasing of potential of the Gig economy in India. And the data says that 23.5 million Gig workers they are going to see in by 2030. And this make it crucial for the government to ensure Gig workers they have access to social security benefits. So we're talking about this bill of Rajasthan, which also said that they are going to come with establishment of welfare board. And who are the members of this welfare board? So the members will be state officials, and there are also 5 representatives from each ZIG workers, and there will be aggregators, and also 2 other from civil society. So the members, they are from government, they are from the representatives of the ZIG workers and aggregators, and even from the civil society. So we will be having the stakeholders from the different areas. Is it clear? And aggregators, so what is the work of these aggregators? So they will be depositing the welfare cess. So what is the cess? Cess is nothing but tax on tax. So this tax on tax will be 2 types, that is, first one is surcharge and second one is cess. So surcharge will be imposed, but there is no mentioned purpose. But the cess is tax on tax that imposed, and this can be used for this special purpose. For example, education cess, for example, Krishi Kalyan cess, for example, Swachh Bharat cess. Okay, so the cess, it is for the special purpose. So whatever the additional tax which is collected, that is used for the welfare of the ZIG or platform workers here. And these aggregators, they need to update the database, so how many people are entering and how many people they are leaving this ZIG economy, and they have to document the various things in numbers within 1 month of such changes. That is, if there are any variation in the scheme, they have to also record those changes and they have to document them. And next topic is ICMR are used for controlled human infection studies. So here we have to focus on human infection. So let me know what is your opinion on human infections, whether it is a loss or not. So how can we control these human infections, and how can we decrease the debt trap of families because of these human infections. So now let us see the context. So India has taken its first step to introduce controlled human infection studies. So we are going to have a first step now. Okay, first step now. Despite India is a home for many infectious diseases, now we have wake up. Now India opened eyes to have a controlled human infection studies. Even though India is doing good in this pharmaceutical industry, we do not have focused on study on infections. So we are going to have a controlled human infection studies in India. So why they are important? So they are important to come up with a vaccine development, that is new vaccine development for the vaccine prevented diseases. And next one is for the treatment development. So if you are talking about vaccines, we are having BCG vaccines. So we are having hepatitis B vaccine, hepatitis C vaccine, and we are also having different vaccines for the diarrhea like rotavirus vaccine, right? That. So here, if you are having data regarding these human infections, whether they are vaccine prevented or not, so if we identify that so and so disease is prevalent in India and that disease can be prevented by vaccines, means here this pharmaceutical companies, they can go for doing of research and development and they can come up with a vaccine, so that we can decrease the burden of that disease in the society. So this will be helpful for the well-being of the people. So if you are talking about further more details given in this article, it says that outside India, so relatively new research model. So it is a new research model in outside India, and they are focusing on exposing healthy volunteers to pathogens in controlled environment, and they are studying malaria, typhoid, dengue, etc. And this study, which aimed to address variety of ethical issues regarding the research, regarding the protection of human participants in the clinical trials, right? So this is about this topic. And if you see why we need to have this type of studies, so if we're talking about, especially from the context of India, we are having high burden of morbidity and mortality, that is death, from this infectious diseases. So out of 100 deaths which we see, 30 deaths which are happening because of this infectious diseases. So we need to go for finding of novel, efficient and cost efficient alternatives for existing methods of research in these disasters. And we have to go for prevention. Prevention is also very, very important, such that we can reduce the burden. So this study, which is relatively a new research model and which helps to get some new insights regarding disease pathogenesis, and it is also very much helpful for development of novel medical interventions, right? And we can go for accelerated, cost effective and efficient outcomes by using even smaller sample size, right? And here we have to see the contributions of public, for example regarding the disease of concern. So we can give information regarding healthcare decision making, and we can also involve in the coming up with new policies, economic benefits, and we can improve the pandemic preparedness and community empowerment by these studies. So if we're talking about some facts regarding this ICMR, that is Indian Council for Medical Research, so it is an apex body for formulation, coordination, promotion of medical research. So it will be helpful for formulation, coordination, promotion of biomedical research, and its mandate it is to conduct, coordinate and implement the medical research for the benefit of the society and for the translating of medical innovations into products, processes, and even it will be helpful for getting of the enough funds as well. So this is about this ICMR, and these are some important things that you have to remember. And now let me make a small announcement. I'm very happy to announce that we are going to have a new batch of mains answer writing practice from August 1st. So it is just 5 days from now. So this course is absolutely beneficial for the students who are beginners and as well as who gave their attempts in UPSC. So mains plays an important role, and it is the deciding factor whether your name will be there in the final list of UPSC or not. So if you are lagging in this answer writing skills or answer writing practice, so join this course and we will boost up your preparation. So in this course, we are covering each and every topic from your GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4 along with essay and case study. So there will be detailed evaluation of your answer, and we are going to give you the model answer as well. And there will be live doubt clearing sessions on every Sunday. So this course is absolutely beneficial, and if you have any doubts, you can call me on this number 8074765513, and this is WhatsApp and also Telegram number. You can ping me up there as well. So the course cost here is 8,200. It is a very minimal for 1 year. So try to join this course, and if you want to talk to me directly, you can call me on this number. And now let us try to see today's Hindu newspaper PDF. So this is today's Hindu. Date is July 25th and today is Tuesday. And this information is about this new scheme of Rajasthan, that is for the platform workers or gig workers. So this is very important. So go through this once. And if you move on, in the first page there is articles regarding violence in Manipur. You have to go through this article. And next one is about government approves 8.15% interest rate for PF deposits in 2022 to 2023. And here you have to go with this, what is this PF deposits. And if you move on, in this page number 5, you can see ISRO to launch PSLV C56 carrying Singapore's new imaging satellite. So here you have to see what is this PSLV. And editorial page, I discussed about this topic regarding India, Sri Lanka. I discussed regarding the sample survey and as well as ASEAN topic. And opinion page, I discussed about this G20 role in disaster risk reduction. And in the text and context, I discussed about this rural bias in national service. I discussed about this Rajasthan bill on platform and gig workers. In this news page, you have to see what is this delimitation. I already discussed this topic, I think 4 days ago. So go through that topic once. And next topic is bill likely to make this Aadhaar authentication mandatory to registered birth and deaths. So go through this once. And here in this page number 12, you can see about this human infection studies I discussed. And this topic it is about radio collars of 6 cheetahs at Kuno removed, says officials. Go through this, what is this radio collars is about. And here you can see there is slow documentation of antiquities. Antiquities are nothing but ancient items, okay. And there is also one more word, that is articrafts. And here in this world page, you can see this article, that is economy facing new difficulties, says China. So China facing difficulties like decreasing of demand and operational difficulties, and there is high risk and hidden dangers they are seen in some key areas which are driving economy of China. And in economy page you can see the word here Eurozone, so please let me know what exactly Eurozone is about. And one more article is Kharif sowing turns around to rise 1.2% because of excess rainfall. So here you have to see the different seasons. So we have Kharif season, we have Rabi season, and we have Ziyad. So here you have to see which are the crops which are grown in which season and the time of that season. It is very important. So these are the some important articles that appeared in our today's Hindu newspaper. So by this I'm concluding. So please subscribe to Rathod's IAS Academy and don't forget to join this mains answer writing practice that is going to be started from August 1st. So by this I'm concluding. Thank you so much.